Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So in 2022, I tested out several different foundations. So today we are going to be ranking these luxury foundations that came out last year because I tested out quite a few. We have different textures, different finishes. So let's go ahead and rate them. But before we go any further, let's take a second to grab our iced coffee or a hot coffee. Let's take a sip and let's get started. And as a reference, I am 35 years old. I have dry, dehydrated skin and I live in Montreal. I will rank these from the most high coverage to the sheerest. That is how I'm going to approach today's video. I've decided, it's official. So first up, the most high coverage foundation here is from Clé de Peau. Now this came out in the springtime of last year here, and this is the Radiant Cream Foundation with an SPF of 25. Now this foundation here has quite a nice shade range, which is always nice. This is the shade B10 Light Beige. I think something a little bit darker, like maybe like a 20 or a 30 might be better for me. But this one here is a thick cream texture. I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze some of it out here. But as you can see, it's not moving, it's not running, it's staying in place. So this is a skincare based foundation. It is a thick cream formula and it has a medium to full coverage. So if you're someone who lives in cold climate like me, if you have mature skin, dry skin, dehydrated skin, this is a type of foundation you would enjoy if you want the full coverage. I would say it starts at a medium, but really builds up to full coverage. But it really is a skincare meets foundation product. It helps with luminosity, with dewiness. It's not going to be for a matte finish, so my oily skin queens, this one here is not for you. But if you want something that's going to be creamy and hydrating and add lots of moisture to your skin, this is a product for you. It does have an SPF in it. I think this is one of the few with an SPF in it today, but it's only an SPF of 25 and I always like to go in with a sunscreen beforehand. It's just nice that it's adding a little bit more, a little bit extra. I'm trying to see what other ingredients are in here. It's a skincare meets foundation product, which a lot of these here, I think a lot of brands now are sort of making hybrid complexion products where you do get a combination of skincare mixed in with your makeup, which is nice. This will give you a luminous finish. It will dry down eventually, but it isn't going to be exceptionally mattifying. It feels almost like a moisturizer, like a nice cream when you apply it on your face. So if that's your skin type, you might enjoy it. And also if you want just like a nice high coverage product, because it is nice to have something in your kit that is going to give you more coverage. Speaking of high coverage, but more on the matte side, we have the Bare Minerals 16-Hour Skin Perfecting Powder Foundation. This is the shade Light 25 Warm. Now, Bare Minerals sent this to me last year. Honestly, if they had not sent me this foundation, I never would have tried it. I never would have tried matte powder foundations because I've been traumatized from past matte products that are just so dehydrating, just suck the moisture out of you. But companies have come a long way and the technology used to make powder matte foundations now has greatly improved. So this is the color here. I'm going to go ahead and do a swatch. And this powder foundation here also has a really great inclusive shade range. So depending how light or how deep your skin tone is, you're going to have a nice selection for you. So this looks and feels velvety. This is clearly a big difference from the first one that we tried here. But this one here actually gives you quite a nice level of coverage. I would say it starts off medium and builds up to full coverage. You can use the little sponge that comes with or a big brush. If you use the brush, you get lighter coverage, but if you go in with a sponge, you get full coverage. This is a full coverage matte finish. And if you had told me that I would enjoy a product like that, I would have thought you were insane. But I was wrong. It's the formulation, it's the technology used to create these new powder compacts that are matte but velvety. It isn't matte in a dry you out like the Sahara. This doesn't pick up on dry spots, or if you have fine lines and wrinkles, it doesn't settle in. It's a very, very natural finish at the same time, where it's not going to be overly luminous and make you look too shiny. It's going to be softer. It's going to give you lots of coverage as well, but in a more natural matte velvet finish. And I was thrown off. I was so surprised. It's also very long wearing as well. This one here, I don't really think it has much skincare wise. You know, I'm sure it has something in here, but it's a great product. I was really, really shocked. I do have to say that this one here is a bit more blurring. I have another compact matte powder here, and I find that the compacts like this, they're very blurring. It's almost like it's a blurring powder mixed in with a powder foundation, 2-in-1. It's quite surprising. It's quite shocking. I was very, very pleasantly surprised with this one here. And then moving down our scale of high coverage to, well, this one here is still quite high coverage. This is the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Matte Foundation, and I have the shade 4C305. So similar to the Prisme Libre powder, the foundation here has that blend of blurring imperfections, evening skin tone, but this one here is the matte finish. They came out with the glow finish a couple years ago. I prefer the matte finish. I know, I am shocked because I find that the matte finish looks more natural. It's matte in a soft velvet way where it just sort of looks like your skin texture, not overly greasy looking or too shiny, but just in a very nice, healthy way. I would say that this is a medium coverage, but because it's liquid, you can sheer it out a bit more than the one that I just mentioned. I would say this is like a firm medium. You can build it up or you can sheer it out a little bit. This one here is long wearing as well. It's also hydrating. It's not as moisturizing. I think the first one, the Clé de Peau one, is the most moisturizing. This one here, it's also waterproof. It's a very good, like, long wearing, solid foundation. Like if I have a very long day, if I need everything to just stay in place, locked and loaded, this is my go-to. I just find it has a really nice staying power. Very, very long wearing all day. If I'm wearing scarves, if I'm taking masks off and on, that type of product. This one also is waterproof and also quite mask resistant. So that's why when I have like a long day where I'm going to be just, you know, having lots of wear and tear on my makeup, this is the one that I go for. And it is skin caring in the name. So it does have some skincare components. They claim that if you wear this one day after day, you're going to notice the appearance of pores look diminished, that sort of thing. I have other foundations that I wear on rotation, but I do have to say that when I wear this, everything looks nice, smooth, evened out, you know, everything looks refined, but in theory, you could just wear this one exclusively and look better, possibly. Next up, we have the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. This is the shade M1 Punjab. So in the name, light reflecting, this one is going to be more luminous. Oh, actually, I should give you a swatch here of the Givenchy foundation. So as you can see, it's liquid, but it's not like a runny fluid. It's not water. So this is the Givenchy shade right here. I would say it's a nice texture. It's not as thick as Clé de Peau, but it is a liquid foundation. And then this one here is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. This one I would say is more liquidy. It's a bit runnier. It's not as thick. You can see even with the application, it just glides a little bit more easily. It's surprising that these both fit me, but I swear that I wear them. I think the Givenchy one is oxidizing a little bit as I'm leaving it on my hand here. The NARS foundation also has a skincare component as well. So this is a liquid formula. It's more runny, more fluid. It's good for redness. If you have redness in the center of your face like me, this is good for that. It's also medium coverage, but I think you can sheer this out a little bit more than the Givenchy. Both of these are technically medium coverage, but I think Givenchy offers just a hint, like a hair more coverage. It says it's a natural finish, but I would say it's more natural radiant. It definitely has a more radiant finish, as the name would suggest. If I'm comparing specifically to the Givenchy one, which has more of like a soft velvet matte finish, this one's going to be natural but a little bit more luminous, so just keep that in mind. In my experience, I also find that the NARS foundation is a little bit more hydrating and moisturizing than the Givenchy one, just a hair more, which I think is where the slightly more radiant finish comes from. It's just a little bit more moisturizing, but not as moisturizing as the first foundation here. This one here is like a moisturizer in foundation form. And also the NARS foundation has an exceptional shade range from the deepest of the deep to the fairest of the fair. They definitely have the best shade range out of all the products that I'm mentioning today. So let's move on to some Chanel. Now, this arguably might be my favorite foundation in today's video, or second favorite. This is the number one, the Chanel Revitalizing Foundation. This is meant to illuminate, moisturize, and protect the skin. This does not have an SPF in it, but it does have some skincare components. This is a buildable foundation with a luminous finish. It has red camellia oil, which is a moisturizing ingredient. This is the texture here. It's a nice liquid foundation. It's more runny and more fluid than some of the other ones, as you can see. And this is the shade B40. I love the balance of it being moisturizing, but not too luminous, not too oily. It looks very natural on the skin. It's moisturizing, but not too greasy looking. It almost has like a soft, slightly velvety finish, but is moisturizing at the same time. It doesn't pick up on any textures or fine lines or imperfections like that. It is also like a nice medium to light coverage. This is a full pump here. I rarely use a full pump. I typically focus on the center of my face. That's where I get more redness and imperfections. But I do think that it is a nice medium light coverage foundation. You can build it up a little bit, but it's not very heavy. It's not a full coverage foundation in my experience. It's definitely more lightweight. I think it is a great foundation, and I think it's an improvement on some of the past foundations. Like, I love the Les Beige foundation, but that one is more luminous, more shiny, whereas this one here has that same moisturizing effect, but is more natural looking. Like, somehow this looks like your skin texture, but a little bit more improved. And then here we have one from Dior, and this is the Dior Forever Natural Velvet Matte Compact Foundation, and I have the shade 3N. So again, this one really surprised me and impressed me that I could actually love a matte powder foundation. So these ones here are refillable. So once you use up your foundation, you can just go ahead and purchase a refill instead of buying the whole case. So this is the shade here. This one is definitely more light coverage than the Bare Minerals. That's the biggest difference here. Bare Minerals is like full coverage, whereas this one is more light to medium. If you use the sponge, I use the sponge to spot correct and then a big brush to apply. It offers a blurring powder with the foundation at the exact same time. I would say that that's the biggest benefit of a matte compact foundation. It's really a blurring powder mixed into a foundation. So if that's interesting, you might want to look into those. However, the shade range for this is not spectacular. On the Sephora site, it's not that great. It's like 6 or 7 shades, and then on the Dior website, it's several more. It's like 15, 14. which is fine, but typically they have better shade selections for the brand. And then for Chanel, I almost forgot, that one's not bad. For Chanel anyway. Actually, no, it's pretty good actually. I'm actually impressed with the shade range for the Chanel foundation. That one's pretty good. But back to Dior. It claims to be a medium coverage, but I would say it's more light to medium. Like I said, you can spot correct, but if you just use a big brush, it's going to be lighter, which I enjoy. They say this one's best for normal to combination oily skin. I didn't notice it drying me out too much or picking up on any textures, things like that. It has a matte finish. It's lightweight. It feels lovely. It feels very velvety and soft. It feels like nothing at all on the skin actually. And this one here is also quite transfer proof. I would say it's in like the same robust category as my Givenchy foundation, but Givenchy offers more coverage for me. I think this one here, the Dior one, is more of a blurring powder mixed into a foundation. Like it's not going to be super high coverage, but if you want just an excellent blurring powder with more coverage, get the Dior one. And then last but not least, we have the Chanel Les Beige Complexion Touch. I loved the Water Fresh tint that came out a few years ago. I bought so many of them, like I've actually used them up, repurchased them. So when they came out with a new and improved version, I was skeptical but very excited at the same time. So the difference is this one here is 3 times the amount of coverage as the original, and I have the shade B40 and I'm actually using quite a bit of it up, and this is the foundation that I'm wearing today. So this one here has a little bit less water than the original. This one I think is like a 60% composition of water, and then it has more pigments inside. This one is definitely very watery, very fluid and runny. It is called the Water Fresh Complexion Touch. So when you apply it, you can break it down on the back of your hand, or you can apply it on your brush and then break it up on your skin. And you can actually see the little capsules of pigment break up on the skin and mix in with the water at the same time. This gives you so much hydration. I don't think it's quite as moisturizing as some of the other ones, but it's a nice glass of water. It's very hydrating. It is your skin, but better. It's not going to hide lots of scarring or hyperpigmentation, acne, things like that. It's going to show your imperfections, but it's nice because it's very breathable, it's lightweight, it's your skin, but better. You're still going to see some things poking through, but in a very natural way. I'm not wearing any powder, any highlighter. So this is the finish you're going to get. It's a little bit luminous. It's not going to be as luminous as Clé de Peau, clearly, and it's not going to be as matte as the other ones. I would say it's a nice, natural looking foundation with some luminosity. Just the nature of the composition, it's water-based, there's so much water. It's not going to be matte. It's going to be more natural with some radiance to it. The foundation here is very lightweight, it's very refreshing. You can also use a lighter shade as concealer as well. I love that one. I use 30 as a concealer. Today I'm wearing the Sublimage concealer, but you can use this as foundation, as concealer, as a spot corrector. It's just a great foundation, and I love a sheer lightweight foundation. Some people might just consider this to be a primer because it is very lightweight, but it offers a nice level of coverage. It's definitely more coverage than the original, and this is one pump. This is one pump of foundation here. So it's definitely on the lighter side, but towards medium. You know, it's not completely translucent or transparent. It offers a nice coverage, and for me, this meets my needs the best. So I think that's it. These are the foundations that I tested out last year. Leave a comment down below. Let me know which one was your favorite. Let me know which texture do you prefer. Like, do you like a matte compact or do you prefer liquid? Sound off in the comments below. I talk about nothing but luxury beauty, and I would love to have you join our community. We're so close to 20,000. We're inching very, very slowly. So make sure to hit like and subscribe. And on that note, that's all I have for you guys for today. So thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.